We'll dig into it later. The Instagram posts from nutbag people, which I was sent in the commercial break earlier, crazy. Like, he's cute, and people celebrating this. This is a sickness. Honestly, it's so disappointing, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And up next, the other big news out of New York, Daniel Penny. A lot of people think he's a hero. And tonight, he's not guilty. My take next.
Dude, that's crazy. This is the shit we were talking about, though, right? First off, Laura Ingraham looks like she's been hitting the bottle. I mean, look at her, dude. She doesn't look healthy, bro. She doesn't, dude. She's looked pretty gritty lately. But think about this, guys. The CEO increases the denial rate almost 33%, leaves people for dead, harms people, denies them care that they paid for, just rakes in the cash, gets millions of dollars in his pocket, gets tens of millions of dollars for the shareholders, jacks up the stock price, and then something bad happens to him, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they harmed this guy. I can't believe they hurt this guy. But they won't even acknowledge the danger that the UHC CEO was. They don't even want to acknowledge that is a CEO of a healthcare company that denies 33% of their claims. That's really hurtful, isn't it? It's terrible insurance. It's terrible healthcare. It's no concern for the patients. People are dying. A lot of people are dying. It is a menace to society. Brian Thompson was like, somebody's dying of cancer, and the CEO of a healthcare company says, hey, guess what? You're going to keep dying of cancer because we're not paying for your shit. Everyone's like, holy shit, dude. That guy's a fucking stock genius. Bro, Daniel Penny says he has zero regrets. Says he couldn't live with guilt if someone was hurt on the subway. I'm going to leave out the Jordan Neely here, and we're just going to end it right there. Daniel Penny says he has zero regrets, says he couldn't live with the guilt if someone was hurt on the subway. But guys, someone was hurt on the subway. Someone was murdered on the subway. Jordan Neely was murdered on the subway by Daniel Penny. He's like, he couldn't live with the guilt if somebody got hurt, but he apparently can live with the guilt of having hurt somebody and fucking killed them. Because Jordan Neely, the homeless guy having a mental health crisis, wasn't human. You know what I'm saying? And he says he'll do 1 million court appearances if it meant saving someone on the subway. But why couldn't he have saved Jordan Neely? Couldn't he have subdued Jordan Neely without murdering him? Couldn't he have subdued Jordan Neely and also saved him? The guy didn't have a weapon. This guy's obviously a Marine, supposedly, and some kind of tough guy. But the guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do. Dude, what about the guilt you have for killing this guy? That's what's crazy. He could have kept Jordan Neely safe, too. Why didn't Jordan Neely deserve to be kept safe? He didn't have a weapon. It would be different if Jordan Neely had a weapon and was actively harming people. It's like they don't see him as a person because Jordan Neely was a homeless black guy who was having a mental health crisis, and he deserved to be subdued and murdered because he was a possible threat to the people on the subway. But Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, actually killed 60,000 people a year by changing their algorithm and denying coverage and extracting the maximum amount of profit. They murdered people who purchased their health care. People bought their health care, then they murdered them. Thousands, tens of thousands. But that guy, holy shit, that guy is like, people are freaking out. That's crazy that you can be a black homeless guy having a mental health crisis and threatening to harm people, and you deserve death to protect the people. But you can be a white CEO that actually murders tens of thousands of people knowingly in order to maximize the profits, and you don't deserve to be murdered. If that guy gets murdered, everyone's like, oh my God, the social fabric is falling apart. Dude, that's up, bro. I mean, think about what that says about our society, guys. If you're wealthy and white, you can murder people with your corporation and you're a good guy. You're a successful guy. If you're black and you're homeless and you threaten somebody having a bad day, or like that woman who threatened the insurance company in Florida, she's going to prison for threatening the insurance company. The insurance company could murder her, but like, did Brian Thompson deserve to spend the rest of his life in prison? Yes. I believe that Brian Thompson caused far more harm to America, society, and the humanity, the fabric of America, than Jordan Neely did. Brian Thompson killed, 100,000 people. Or if he didn't actually kill them, he left them for dead and denied them something they had paid. He made a contract with them that said, you buy my insurance, and when you get sick, we'll take care of you. And then when they got sick, they said, F you, but thanks for the money. So the thing is do people deserve death? I'm not into the death penalty at all, but I believe that Brian Thompson deserved a life sentence in prison because he was right up there with Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer and fucking Adolf Hitler. I mean, I know that may sound controversial. Adolf Hitler put a bunch of people in gas chambers and dropped pellets in there and murdered them. And he did it because he believed that it was cleansing his society. Brian Thompson made a contract with tens of thousands of people to care for them when they get sick. And then he reneged on the deal in order to maximize his profit and financial status and shareholder status of his corporation. And he was not concerned about how many of them died in the gas chamber he created called health insurance denial. How can you sell a service and then deny the service that was purchased and then you get rich for it? See, that's my problem, though. I don't like our corporation structure. I don't like that people can become a corporation and then they can steal and they can murder and they can pollute and they can ravage and take advantage and abuse people's civil rights, and then nobody gets held accountable. You're able to become a corporation, and then all of a sudden you don't bear any personal responsibility for what you do while you're functioning as that corporation. Like, how is that right? How have we made that so that's okay? That seems way outrageous, bro. That murder's wrong unless you're a corporation. Stealing is wrong unless you're a corporation. Like, dude, that's crazy. When you look at somebody like that Brian Thompson CEO guy, if you're a health insurance company, denying 32% of your claims is insane. There's no way that that's legitimate. There's no way that you sell a service and then 1/3 of those people don't deserve the service. You shouldn't be able to sell somebody medical insurance and then not pay for the procedures they need later on. How can you do that? But we do it with all insurance. That is what insurance does. Insurance is a business of, I'm going to give you protection. You give me money and I will protect you and your car and your house. And then the minute something happens to you or your car or your house, I have a team of people that try to find some little error. You didn't sign something. You didn't fill something out. You had something happen to you 20 years ago. Or you had faulty wiring in there. They are specifically looking for a loophole. That's their whole business. They have teams of people whose job is not to take care of you. The job is to find some way that you fucked up or did something that they can then hold you responsible for it and then refuse to pay. That's what the entire business is. The entire business is about not paying. Their entire business is actuaries and AI algorithms and data crunching. And they're trying to figure out who's going to cost them money and who isn't. And who are they going to be able to deny and get away with it, and who will they not? And then if you look at it, a lot of times it goes along inequality lines. If it's a poor person of color from a poor part of town, they're not going to pay that claim because they know that that person's not going to be able to force them to pay it. The whole business has no integrity. The whole business is like dirty and nasty and shitty and anti-humane. And that's a problem. And I mean, it's kind of a microcosm of what we have in this world. Look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump said he was going to lower grocery prices. He said he was going to end the wars in 24 hours. He said he was going to lower our energy bills. And he made all these crazy promises. And then people voted for him. And now he's saying, well, you know what? You remember all that shit I said I was going to do? I'm not really going to do any of it, but you did elect me. Thank you. But I'm not going to do any of it. And the thing is, though, is we allow that. We allow a person like Donald Trump to stand up and make a whole bunch of promises, and then a whole bunch of people will vote for him. And then he stands up later and says, I'm not going to do any of that shit. I'm just going to give tax cuts to the wealthy. Thank you. And Elon's going to loot the government. And we're going to all have untold riches. And we're going to cut your Social Security too. So not only are we not going to lower prices, but we're going to fucking take your retirement money away. And we're going to completely fuck you over. We allow that. And we just vote for them anyway. And we allow companies to do that. We allow CEOs to ruin people's lives and to operate companies unfairly. I think the people were saying it's the economy, but I think they knew it wasn't about the economy. The economy was just a way for them to not have to say what it's about. If we were to really look at it, people in America were uncomfortable with a woman leader, and they certainly didn't want a black woman leader. So they were going to vote for the white guy. Why? Oh, because of the economy, because of the border, because of taxes. They can't say, well, we're voting for him because we're not going to vote for a black woman. The economy has become a buzzword. Because think about it. Trump ran on the border in 2016 too. And there wasn't a flood of people. But he ran on the border. He ran on Wall Street and the swamp. But now his cabinet is filled with billionaires. And his cabinet had a bunch of billionaires the first time. Like, really? Do we really believe that this guy is not part of the swamp? Come on. The economy isn't about prices. The economy, when it comes to white voters, is about whiteness. If there is a leader that says, I'm protecting the white people. We're not going to take care of the poor, lazy, the people of color, all identity politics. And so when a leader says that, the white people feel like if that guy is in charge, the economy is going to be good for them. But if there's a black leader or a woman leader or somebody who's woke or believes in DEI, then the white voters believe the economy is going to take care of other people and not them. But the word economy is synonymous for the needs of the white people. The economy's bad means they feel like the leaders are more concerned about helping non-white people. If the economy's good, that means the leaders are more concerned about helping white people. And that's what the word economy means in America now, in the voting context. It's not about prices, because the prices can be high, but if the leaders are working to help the needs of the white people will pay more. They will pay more to feel like their leaders are working to satisfy the white needs. But if they're paying more and they feel like the leaders are taking that money and helping black people, then the white people are bitter and resentful. That's it. That's literally it. That's what the word economy means in our politics. Is, are you concerned about the needs of white people, or are you concerned about the needs of people other than white people? And that's really it, man. I swear to you, it's not even about the prices. It's just about somebody who stands up there and says, I'm going to put white people's needs first. then the people are like, oh, the economy's good. My tax dollars are going to take care of my needs. My government's going to take care of my needs. And if somebody says, hey, man, we got to help those poor people of color, we got to help the homeless, the marginalized, then the white people are like, whoa, the economy's feeling bad. It's feeling dangerous. It feels like it's not a good economy. I swear, dude, we don't talk about it, but it's become a buzzword. The economy is now a fucking buzzword, dude. Dude, what was that, bro? That was hilarious. In America, we have to be aware of how enslavement and segregation and redlining have affected the worldview of people of color in America, and how they have affected the worldview of white people who were around watching segregation, and a lot of the white people didn't even do anything about it. I mean, think about that, guys. There were water fountains and lunch counters for black people, bathrooms for black people. The black people couldn't go to the public pool. So the white people walked by like the black area, knowing that the black people couldn't commingle with them. And white people certainly, like, how were they okay with that? Can you imagine going into a restaurant and seeing a counter where the black people had to sit at that counter? That was the norm. And a bunch of people were okay with that. I mean, that was the law, bro. And before that, they were enslaved. They were in chains and being whipped, and they were living in squalor and working for free. And people were okay with that. So the thing is, what we need to do now is we need to no longer be okay with the remnants of slavery and segregation and racism. And even, look at this election. There was racism in the election, and a whole bunch of people are still okay with it. White Americans are still okay with racism existing. They're okay with it. They may not be racist, but they're fine with Donald Trump being racist. They're fine with him lying about Haitian immigrants and making up stories about them eating animals in order to denigrate immigrants, in order to threaten immigrants with potentially being locked up in concentration camps and shipped off to some country. White people are totally cool with that. That's weird. Here we are, 160 years after slavery ends, and the white people are now okay with rounding up all the brown and black immigrants into concentration camps. That's racism. There's not going to be any Canadian or Swedish or European immigrants that are rounded up in those concentration camps. When you go to those concentration camps, those deportation camps, everyone in there is going to have brown or black skin. Even though there's a lot of immigrants, many of them illegal, that don't have brown or black skin. Elon Musk was an illegal immigrant, guys. Melania Trump was an illegal immigrant. They lied on their work visas. They owned companies and worked here illegally. Nobody fucking deported them. Nobody's going to deport them. But Trump is going to deport some brown people who've been living and working here for 30 years. That's racism, guys. That's racism. And we allow that. We pretend it doesn't exist. And so the thing is, we need to stop pretending that this shit doesn't exist. And we need to stop being okay with it. Like, we need to stop being okay with candidates being openly racist and then winning elections because all the white people voted for them. And it's not even about hate, though. Like, that's just it. It's not based about hate. White supremacy doesn't necessarily hate black people. It's not about hate. You can have a white supremacist who is totally fine with black people and doesn't hate them at all. The white supremacist merely thinks the natural order of things places the white person above the black person. These people that are anti-DEI don't hate black people necessarily, but every time they see a black pilot, they think there's no way that pilot was qualified. They think that pilot had to be DEI because they don't believe that a black person can be more competent than a white person. But it's not about hating black people. It's about believing in a sort of natural order. I think part of the problem is you've got to learn to look beyond the fact that racism equals hating a race. You can love black people and still be racist. There are black people that advance the culture of white supremacy, and they certainly don't hate black people. It's not about hate. It's about beliefs about hierarchy and beliefs about value.